So one thing that surprised me with the HS175G from Holy Stone is just how fun it is to fly. Hey folks, Simon here, and today we're taking a look at the Holy Stone HS175G. This is a new drone from Holy Stone, and full disclosure, they did send this to me for the purposes of review. And while there's a lot to love about this model, there are also a few things I will need to bring to your attention. Now, design-wise, I'm actually a big fan of the drone because it's sub 250 grams, which means in most places around the world you'll be able to fly this with the fewest restrictions in place. The fact that it's not a small drone physically, and combined with the fact that it is a darker colour, means that you can get good line of sight, especially on a bright sunny day, I found. It's faster than I expected, so definitely be aware of that when you first start flying. The range on this thing is further than I expected it would be. Now, I've been flying this out in the sticks, and yes, the 5G connection is going to be stronger out here than in a more urban area with lots of Wi-Fi interference. But that said, flying in more city-type environments is something you might want to do. Because of this being a sub 250 gram drone, you are going to be able to fly it with the fewest restrictions in place. I also like the fact that Holy Stone have delivered in terms of the package. Yes, you get the carrying case, which is always nice, but they have bunged in an extra battery as well. And on top of that, you do get a spare set of props. So everything you need to get started, for the most part. Of course, you need to provide your own phone, and a memory card, SD card, isn't provided either. Although you can actually record photos and videos directly to your phone if you didn't want to install an SD card, but you will be doing so at a lower resolution. But technically you can just fly the HS175G with just this controller, so no phone or app needed. You do get all of the functional buttons. It's just going to be a little bit more challenging, especially because obviously you're not going to have the FPV view. But for line of sight flying in a pinch, it's definitely a means and an option. And this is where the first thing is that I want to bring to your attention. So the HS175G is advertised as a 4K drone. And most of the time when you hear that phrase 4K, you're thinking of the resolution of the video that can be recorded with the camera. But actually the camera only records at up to 1440p. So 2K at 30 FPS. And as far as I can tell in the actual app, there's no way to change that. So you can't increase or decrease either the resolution or the frames per second. It is fixed at that particular 2K 30 FPS. The 4K comes into play with photos, which are taken at 4K resolution. That said, the video itself is a lot better than I think it has any right to be. No, there isn't a 3-axis or even a 2-axis gimbal, and yet the footage is a lot more stable than I expected it to be. It does definitely have that sports type of FPV vibe going for it, but honestly, for this drone, I think it fits perfectly well. And if I just move on briefly to how this actually flies, well, I've got to say, it's a lot of fun, it really is. I had a whale of a time flying this drone. It is responsive, which is something that can't always be taken for granted for drones at this price point, but it handles well. It's a little faster than I expected it to be, so there is that, although there is a second speed that you can use. It's quite a windy day today, but even with no fingers or hands on the controls, the drone does actually keep a GPS lock quite stable, so I'm actually really impressed with this. For a Holy Stone drone at this price point, this thing is actually really easy to fly. Again, just be careful when you first start flying because it may be a little nippier, a little faster, a little quicker than you expect it to be. And I don't know what the maximum range of this thing actually is, but I've been flying this around quite a bit in full line of sight, but I never had any issues with the signal connection. It does use the 5G Wi-Fi band in order to connect to the controller. You can technically fly this drone indoors. Now, obviously, you're going to have to be super careful when you do this, but you can actually toggle the GPS mode on the controller to an optical flow mode, and then it's going to detect the surfaces underneath the drone using a specialised camera system, and that will just help you to keep position when flying indoors when there's no satellite connection. A number of features are also built into the app as well, which you can play around with. However, something else to bring to your attention is that these do seem to be a bit hit or miss. For example, no matter how hard I tried, I could not get the follow me mode functioning at all. Okay, I did everything it said in terms of the distance between myself as the pilot with the controller and the drone itself, and I just could not get that to activate. It kept giving me errors saying that the minimum distance or the maximum distance was out. I just could not get that to work, which was unfortunate. So hopefully that's just a software issue and the app can receive an update in due course that will fix that. Now, there are some safety features built in here too. For example, there is return to home, and you can activate this manually mid-flight if you're too lazy to bring the drone back yourself, and it will just go to a predetermined height of, I think it's 50 meters, and then head straight back in a line before landing. Or if, for example, you lose connection or if the battery is starting to run low, then it will kick that feature off automatically and then return home safely. Now, in terms of battery life, Holy Stone are rating this for up to an hour of flight time with the 2 batteries, so that's about 30 minutes per battery. I would say that's a little bit of an exaggeration in my experience. I tend to only get about 17 minutes of flight time, and that's even when it's not that windy, so just consider the fact that you probably do want both batteries fully charged before heading out for your flight. Overall, my experience with the HS175G has definitely been a positive one. I've got to say, it's a lot of fun to fly, and I think this is a fantastic drone, especially for beginners. But even if you're a more seasoned pilot, you might want to check this out because it does have a few surprises up its sleeve. Hopefully, a couple of the bugs and that I found, such as with the follow me, will be fixed in firmware and or app updates. But other than that, I've been really happy with the HS175G. I think it's a great model for Holy Stone to add into their lineup. So thank you for watching the video. Hopefully it's been helpful, and I'll see you next time.